Beneath every thriving ecosystem is a network. Roots, connections, life supporting life. And sometimes a single connection can travel farther than anyone imagined. For us, that story began in Austin, Texas, where people came together around a simple but powerful idea that when we heal the land, we also begin healing ourselves. What we found wasn't just a movement about agriculture. It was a movement built around a shared belief that a healthier future begins from the ground up. And everywhere we looked, we found the people working to turn that belief into reality. Calling in all our angels to bless this first recording of Belle, who is not afraid to break the spell of humanity's insomnia. We have been asleep for long enough, and this time that we are coming to is one of great bravery, and we are needing all light leaders. And so calling forth this space to open by thy grace with all the angels, all the protection, and all the light around all of these angels. Please let them feel free and safe to share their authentic voice, because that's what's most needed now on the planet. And you know my goal of Belle is to re-beautify the planet through not only regeneration and the return to soil and soul, but to remember Eden without shame. May we be blessed. May we be in peace. May we have the best party ever, Oliver English. It is party time on Belle. Here we are live. Hi, I'm Belle Hahn, and I'm with my dear friend Oliver English. And we are live today at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas.
That's right.
At the Sapien Center, where we just did an extraordinary panel. And with Stella and Ilana, who will be joining later. But I would love to hear your experience landing in Austin with all of this extraordinary magic happening for this movement.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, so excited to be here with you. Congratulations on the launch of this incredible podcast. To be here with you at the planting of this vision is so incredibly fitting. And it's been extraordinary to see you fully come into your power in relation to this movement, and to connect people, to inspire people, and to bring people together around a vision that is so much bigger than yourself and so much bigger than all of us. And being here at South by Southwest is incredibly meaningful and incredibly powerful. Moments like this, gatherings like this, where forward-thinking movers and shakers from all over the world come together to envision a world that can be, is what humanity needs. We need to be with other people in the room who can see what is possible and who can actively go out there and build it. It's the entrepreneurs, it's the artists, it's the visionaries, it's the people who see what is broken, see what needs to be done, and then actually have the capacity to go out there and do it. And to bring together that entire ecosystem of people to build about that world, to build about that change. So thank you for helping to facilitate that truth.
Oh my gosh, you know it's the greatest honor and joy. And, you know, we met in a garden. We met at Lotus Land, of course, through our dear friend Jennifer Smith. And we're so lucky that we became instant friends. And beyond that, really a soul remembrance that we had work to do together. And it didn't take long to become your executive producer of Feeding Tomorrow, which has inspired me in this movement on Feeding Today. In the highest level, through your examples of the systems that are solutions and that are hope and faith-based, instead of to stay in that stuck shame spiral that I feel the world really lives in and repeats the same patterns over and over again, both toxically to themselves and therefore to the mother, to our earth. And so you have really cast a light on what can be done and what can be done now with these simply abundant, brilliant ideas, from charter schools to hospital gardens and beyond. You've really, and not only do you walk the talk and have created this film, you also have done a garden. So, I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit about the magic of our projects together and what you're doing that feels, that's alive in you right now for this movement, because, you're one of my favorite voices here on this planet, and it is so needed. And we all want to hear what your next steps are.
Thank you for sharing that, Belle.
It's just true.
Thank you. I think with all of the challenges our world faces, from environmental to health to political, there's no shortage of challenges. I think the one thing that has brought me a tremendous amount of hope and conviction in what is possible is the fact that we already have solutions to the biggest environmental, health, and societal problems that we face. And that has been the focus of Feeding Tomorrow, our first film, is focusing on solutions, saying it's not some AI that we haven't developed yet. We know how to fix agriculture through the regeneration of our soils and the restoration of our ecosystems, and through building healthy, dynamic soils that support farmer livelihood, biodiversity, and nutrient healthy, dense food for humanity. We know how to fix our healthcare system with the foundation of access to nutrient-dense, organic, regenerative food by connecting the food that we eat to the people who grow it, and by looking at food once again as a powerful vehicle for healing the human bodies and healing the planet. We feature an amazing working regenerative farm on a hospital campus in the Midwest that has been so successful. Lisa McDowell in our film, who you know, who we love. Lisa built the first working farm on a hospital campus in the United States. That one seed that she planted, that we have had the opportunity through our film to share with the world, has inspired that hospital to build 5 more hospital farms. They're a food hub for their community. They are healing patients, preventing and reversing chronic disease in the hospital. And they are showing what's possible through the healing power of food. And one of the other things we learned from the film is about the power of connecting kids back to real food. And our good friend Alice Waters who I introduced you to, which is very fitting, has been and was and is a pioneer in the school food movement. Edible schoolyards, of course. And one of the impact campaigns that we got an opportunity to do through Feeding Tomorrow was to build the biggest working regenerative farm at a public middle school in Santa Monica. And I haven't told you this actually yet, but that school has come under the purview of one of the other centers in Santa Monica, one of the other community centers. And now that school is the hub where every single other public school in Santa Monica now has access to that farm. So the school that we built now is a transformational vehicle for change. And I was able to convince the principal of that school of the merits of building a regenerative school farm because of what we found during Feeding Tomorrow. And I said, Ryan, and he was a forward-thinking guy, every single expert we met with, doctors, farmers, nutritionists, politicians, entrepreneurs, all of them said that the way to heal the broken planet, the way to heal the broken divide, is to connect kids back to real food and instill in them a love for the planet and a love for food at an early age. And we ended up building, during the end of COVID, a working regenerative school farm. We hired a farmer. Every single kid at that school spends time on the farm. They are now composting all the food waste from that cafeteria into the farm. And we've had parents come to us on volunteer days and say, thank you. My child never used to eat kale. I could not get them to eat a tomato. And now I can't get them to stop. And by the way, here's the compost. Because they learned about it in school, they came back to our house, and now we have a freezer full of compost. And now every single kid in that city is spending time on that farm. Now, this is something I know you are dedicated to, and I know that we're going to continue to work on, but I would love to have us envision a world where every school in every community around the country and around the world had a school farm or a school garden. They were eating food from that school farm or school garden. Every hospital around the world was healing patients through real nutrient-dense food. Every prison had a working farm that was able to actually heal and rehabilitate people through working on a farm. this is a powerful idea. And if we were able to, when we are able to, bring about this kind of change, I believe we can have the most fundamental impact on the health and longevity of humanity through changing our relationship with the natural world. And it's films like ours and so many others that shed light on these innovators that are a key part of helping people envision the world we can build together.
There's many times I've cried from listening to you speak, and I understand more and more that it's because it's the same vibration of what I feel. And it's the same. I just was with Alice Waters a week ago, and not only did I go to Edible Schoolyards for the first time and burst into tears, clearly I'm going to be crying a lot with these incredible humans that are part of this movement, because I'm just so touched by what's possible and what she knew so long ago. And this Edible Schoolyard used to be a parking lot. Like, it was truly a parking lot. And I went with my brother and visited, and his wife, and it was so powerful to see these gardens. And I saw the same, I've been seeing the same thing for a long time. And what I call that is returning to Eden. But I live in a world where I've shared this with you many times, but this podcast is meant to be a vulnerable space for people to access their deepest voice. Mine was taken when I was very little. I went through extreme abuse starting at 14 months. And I witnessed what it felt like to leave my body and to live in shame. And it's taken me a long time and a lot of tools and a lot of modalities to get back here. And I'm so grateful for every part and every tear and every scream and all the feels along the way that I've had in my great body of work. In the spiritual world, in the physical world, in the healer world. I've had a history of, mental health in my family. I've had history of witnessing great pain. And I've moved into a place where this awakening for me, the remembrance with this food movement, is also about reclaiming the right to be in the garden, not to be feeling like you're rejected from nature. Because that origin story, whatever God you believe in, my belief is that there's stories that can bring us together, and there's stories that can also really separate us. And war is a time where you're seeing at this time how many stories that you don't think the same way that I do can lead to this kind of level of chaos. When we return to the garden, when we truly return to Eden, where we're not living in shame anymore, we will be free again. That is my belief. That is my rebel, is to live a life where I'm not living in shame, where I'm living in beauty on every level, that everything that's been given, and that abundance to share that. Because then we can all go back to heaven on earth and not feel cast out of the garden from which we very much came. So this is a return, just like when we met again, just like many more souls that will be coming to share their stories. And I just feel this extraordinary honor to plant what it feels like gardens everywhere with you. And I've talked about this for years, but to plant Feeding Today gardens, they're now happening in Santa Barbara. We have gardens not only in schools, I have them in elder care systems, I have them everywhere. And we're doing this whole brand of Regenerative Richards, because Richard's my fiance, but also my middle name is Richards because my mother's maiden name is all Richards. So we're doing this whole regenerative movement. We did a lily bell garden, my sister and I together at our school. My mom dreamed of doing Mama Works, and it's all back to the mother. So this whole movement for me is to also honor my mother that taught me how to garden. And I had a little bit of a flashback, hence the tears when you were saying that my trauma when I was little, I could always go to nature and she would always hold me. I could plant, I could put my fingers in the earth. And so whenever I've been really low, I know that the first thing that will help my gut, brain, heart, everything is to go put my fingers back in the soil. That's what restores the memory to my soul of who I am without all the noise. So I'd also love to give people tools along the way. And because it's the first, and because This is also about sisterhood. I will be supporting many products and many beautiful women. So the first episode, also the first Mary and Lucy Firestone, where I did many retreats, Moustique, absolutely divine. It's, on a little spritz.
A little
Trust
spritz?
me, it's unisex. It's fabulous.
That's nice.
It's heaven. And it's just fragrance, aromatherapy, many things can return us, but nothing quite. And I highly recommend them on every level for healing and for retreats, but their perfumes take you somewhere, again, back to yourself, and somewhere that first is the point. You have to return first to you so that you can then take care of the planet. And how else better to take care of yourself also by drinking beautiful water. We just met creator of Soothe, and to eat an apple a day. They said it keeps the doctor away and may even help remember we can keep the shame away too. So eat organic, healthy, local, beautiful food, plant gardens, and we'll be sharing a lot more. We have a lot more work to do together. So I'm honored to be with you again.
More soon.
More soon.
Thank you, Belle.
Onward, Oliver.
Appreciate you. Congratulations on the launch of this podcast.
To all of us.
It's gonna be remarkable.
This is a space for all.
To be here at the beginning to help launch this is a deep honor. I'm excited to see where it goes.
I would not be here without you.
I wouldn't be here without you.
Like a bee moving from flower to flower, ideas travel farther than we often realize. But what allows them to take root? Hi, Finn.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. What a treat. All the way from Kiss the Ground and Common Ground to this next amazing project.
The Rhizosphere.
Tell us about this Rhizosphere.
It's really exciting. So, you know some of the journey 15 years ago plus. Heard about soil health and regenerative ag as a solution to climate, water, human health, biodiversity loss, economic sovereignty, everything. I was kind of a know-it-all environmentalist in my late 20s. I was like the go-to guy of like, what's up with this? And I was like, how did I not know about the soil thing? Like, how did I not, if I didn't know?
Yeah.
And that was literally the moment I watched a 4-hour lecture. So Ryland Engelhart, who he came back from New Zealand, having heard this guy talk on a panel of scientists saying, can human beings sustain themselves on planet Earth? The first 5 people said no, or first 4 people said no. The last guy, Graham Sate, said, well, everyone's forgot about soil, like this potential of regenerating soil to solve the climate and other issues. So Ryland came back excited and got me convinced. I was in music at the time, like, bring your sound system. We're going to like create an amphitheater here and have this guy talk to us. This guy talked to us for 4 hours. And quick rewind, I grew up in Ithaca, New York, along with Ryland, but my 12th grade year in high school, in a small alternative school, we had 3 PhD students from Cornell University in our class for 6 months. And inside of that time, we were out doing soil samples, and this turned out to be the soil sample test that was showing that airborne viruses were being blocked from oak groves miles apart because of mycorrhizal fungi networks connecting them underground, sending signals, prepare for an airborne virus that's coming your way. So when I heard this lecture in my late 20s for 4 hours, I wasn't just a random person in the audience. I grew up homeschooled in the woods, composting, doing things like these soil samples in 12th grade. So also being an environmentalist and activist nearly my whole life. So when I heard this, I wasn't just a regular person in the audience. I was like, oh my God, this guy's laying out all of these solutions. And it was too good to be true. But Ryland and I went home that night of like, if this is true, we shook hands. We said, we're dedicating our lives to get the word out about this. And that was like the setup of Kiss the Ground forming a year later. But we were just 100% like, if this is real, this is everything. This is the whole thing. So that's kind of the impetus. Then Kiss the Ground starts working with Josh and Rebecca DeKell to make the big movies, Kiss the Ground and Common Ground. We start making short form content, start creating education engines, educating thousands of people all over the world to become soil advocates. So this journey of helping the movement usher itself in to blossom. So like connecting a bunch of change makers in the food industry and others, and basically saying like, you can be a part of this movement too, like being a big invitation portal for people. Because we weren't the usual suspects either. So we were like, let's get some of these other key people to understand. So that was kind of that journey. And that span really hit some incredible strides. You were a big part of it, right? Like we were able to get the world much more awakened to this possibility of called regeneration. However, looking back like a decade or so, 8 or 10 years, if you will, these conversations started happening about like, well, what are the big barriers? What's stopping this momentum in this movement? And one of the key ones was what we often call the missing middle is like the marketplace access is non-existent. So to put some perspective on it, it's like the 1980s for people when it's a producer, farmer, or rancher, dealing with a processor, everything from processing grain, getting things ready, processing meat, to the buyers, the people wanting to put them in some sort of product, to the service providers. All of those people don't have access to each other. They literally have to call someone like our founder of the Rhizosphere to be like, hey, I got 6 million pounds of potatoes. You got anybody to buy them? They're regenerative, like the best in the world. And or a buyer being like, we are interested in grains with no glyphosate residue in this region of the U.S. Like, can you help us? Literally, individual people are out there trying to matchmake. So that's where the system's at. So, of course, I'm watching the momentum of regenerative ag gain huge momentum, right? We're all watching this exponential curve. And it's like, what happens? We still have a cap called the market can't find each other, so we're going to hit a ceiling. So that's the story of where we've been, where we're at, is this movement has a ceiling. I know it definitely. I've seen countless people, I've talked to countless companies and producers and everyone in that system. We are inching closer to being completely stopping ourselves because everyone who does the business of it can't find each other. And it's strangling itself. In the next couple of years, it's just going to flatline because it's like, no, we can't do it. So
what are you going to do?
that's what we're going to do.
So what?
I've been talking for a while. Over to you.
No,
real
I'm
quick,
so
yeah.
no. I'm like, I want to know more. Like, so what are we going to do?
So that's why the Rhizosphere is being built. Is basically Joni had the idea years ago.
Joan was your partner.
Yeah, she's the founder.
Yes.
And as soon as I heard about it, I was like, this is literally the solution. And it's not just being made up by some person who has high pie in the sky ideas like me, who's been involved. She's been living in the center of it. She is the person that the producers call, the buyers call, the processors call to figure these things out. She is one of those mavericks who's holding it all together with text messages, with spreadsheets, with faxes for crying out loud. So
this is so exciting.
she knows it, and she also knows that this can't just be built by people in the regenerative ag system already, like all of us. So we have real AI developers, real product people from like Nike, ex-Nike. These are all converts to regenerative ag, but they come from their own industries and actually know what the heck they're doing.
Oh, this is brilliant.
So we built, I don't know if you saw downstairs.
No, I've been up here.
Presenting.
Yeah.
The platform now exists. It's online. There are people.
Was this your first presentation of it just now?
No, we've done a few, but
New?
it's
It's
about to go into
new.
beta. So
Okay.
we're basically at this stage where
Whoa.
all of these actors, producers, processors, buyers, and service providers can actually go in and say, I have this much wheat we're harvesting in 2 months, or I'm looking for this, instead of being like sending someone a mad dash mission to go find it and then giving up. Be like, we're going to go back to sourcing from India. That was too hard. We couldn't find regenerative cotton. Nah, it's just too hard. Be like, you should have asked me. I knew. It was literally in your backyard, 2 states away. You could have had it all done, but they give up, and those give ups are stacking right now.
Right.
And they're stacking up, and a bunch of people don't realize how many of those give ups for beginning companies, entrepreneurs, big companies, and medium-sized companies have tested these pilots and been like, we're just going to go back to what we were doing. We tried. They did try, but they did not have an ability to actually find what they were looking for practically, reliably, and then be able to do that direct business. So we are building the online platform that allows the matchmaking for the food and ag system, bioregional and regenerative, to work, to function. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, that was the download I needed, because I've been weaving in the community a lot based on like the abundance film, and with working with Veggie Rescue or whatever I can learn, I'm always wanting to implement. I think some people, just including myself, were asleep to knowing how to do it. And then if it's challenging for businesses in that way, why would they go back to wouldn't they go back to the easier system with life as it is, you know?
100%. And this is where
I get it.
the sadness with we just shared downstairs. It's just like last year around this time, Joni was telling me, she's like, we have 2 million pounds of potatoes. They had more, but they just literally had to they could not sell. These are regenerative potatoes. I mean, to have regenerative potatoes is hard. At scale is even harder. These people built their soil organic matter, built their biodiversity, and they just had to get rid of 2 million pounds of potatoes. At the same time, a week ago, we just had 600,000 pounds of some product get bought that's regenerative, but through the system, because people will be able to find each other now. And a guy was just able to get processing, and the processor is able to find his first regenerative customer. It's like, to watch it happening now, having built what we've built, it is one of the biggest promises of, once we have people in here, the ease of what a lot of us expect to be able to happen on our phones. If you're in your combine and you're like, looks like we're going to be processing in September this many bushels, the system's then being like, are you using the same processing? Or do you have the buyers lined up? If you already had the buyer, did you do all this checklist that they had asked for? Like, AI is obviously got issues, but at the same time, it has this amazing opportunity to help us learn, and the brain of the rhizosphere to be able to aggregate people. You're like, oh, this is how many millions of pounds of this product or ingredient we're going to need for our new product that's coming out from one of these big brands. What if we had these 10 farmers, 2 of them are 100% match, 5 of them are 90% match, the other ones you're going to have to do some work on. Do you want us to bring them all together? Do you want to start with these 2 that were already matched? AI is able to help us to have learning happen, so you're not forced. And you can put something in, be like, this is what I'm waiting to have. As soon as I have this ingredients ready, I'm going to make my product and we're going to go. You could wait 4 months and all of a sudden the system's going to ping you back. We got a match for you. I mean, talk about the headache relief for farmers who are thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about planting this much. Do I have buyers? If I do it, yes, we got a match for you before. What's your deadline? Oh, March 2nd. I need to know by March 2nd if I have buyers. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to my old planting. If I do know I'm going to plant these regenerative things, they know, bam, it's done. So the confidence, the ability for the system to move forward is what's been lacking in a huge way. So building it,
Here it is.
Here it is.
Here
It's
it
coming.
is. Okay, great. Coming in hot off the press, right? I just love this. Our launch of Belle and Rhizosphere coming together, and here we are. This is really special, especially because Kiss the Ground's entire story into Common Ground, when I came on board, truly changed my life. And it's my first film that I became a, associate producer of. So
That's great.
I mean, it was the universe. I pledged my life to a tree 3 years ago, and literally met Nat Kelly. Do you know Nat?
I was just talking with her last week. Yeah.
Of course. So yeah, I met Nat, and through my friend Meredith Palma, and she had me come in and see some footage, because I'd seen the Web movie. I saw the Mycelium Network, and for the first time with Louis.
I got to watch before it was launched at, forget the big festival is called.
Is it the Vegas Sphere?
No, some big festival. Louis was there. He did the introduction. I was under the influence of something and watched it with Ryland. In a massive screen, probably like 40-foot wide screen. Louis did the intro.
Oh yeah.
Did the thing, and we were like, this was the best place to watch fungi. What's it?
Fantastic fungi.
Fantastic fungi. It was unbelievable. I can't believe it happened. It was just like,
I actually I was having dreams, because it was very weird. My mother was allergic to mushrooms, but I was always like weirdly called to them, but I was like, I'm allergic. So when I had this movie, I watched this movie 3 years ago, I was supposed to go on like a stage for, being Belle of the Ball at this party. And I was like the host, and I was like, there's more. Like, what else? I mean, I got them to donate to Lotus Land, but there's something, the nature's calling me. And I watched this film 3 days before. And arrived at this party, and at the end of the night on New Year's Eve, I pledged my life to a tree and the Mycelium Network, and I was like, "Tell me what to do. I'm just here. I'm gonna listen." And that 10 days later, Nat Kelly was at my house, and then I did a fantastic fungi dinner. I also introduced Louis at a film festival recently. It's the web. This is basically, you have created with Joni the web above ground.
Yeah.
For the web to work.
That's why we
for
call it the
people.
rhizosphere. Yeah.
Well,
The rhizosphere is the web underground. That's what it is. That's the rhizosphere.
well,
Is that
I was told 7 years ago that I was going to be called the web sensation. Before I was getting divorced, I was grieving. I was at like a retreat with my women, and this psychic named Maggie Rogers was like, "You are the web sensation. You will be connecting women and land, and like this is what you'll be doing." And I was like, the web, like a website? I don't even have a website. Like, and I had a website, about healing. And then all of a sudden everything was the mycelium network to me. And I was like, I'm just a connector. And nature knows how to share. So like, that's the thing that seems to be missing above ground. And so just to waken people up to like, hey, I have all these potatoes. I have all these carrots. You've got the broccoli. Great. Let's web it together, create a feast for all. And
and
everyone
that the
can be in
efficiency. I mean,
abundance.
that's where if you learn from nature, there's obviously competition in organisms eating and killing each other. But if you look at the makeup of the whole thing, it is so mutualistic that it's
Yes.
unbelievable. If you look at when you look at regenerative unto itself. So regeneration, a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of times are just substituting it for their comprehension of sustainability. Sustainability is kind of like put back what you take out. We
Yes.
see the recycle symbol is a good example of
Right.
sustaining, right? Or maintaining on a flat line.
Right.
But if we understand where we are now, so 10,000 years of humans doing agriculture in most societies, not all, wrong. We've degraded, and then started free falling into degradation. We're way down here. So sustaining is absolutely insane. Now, here's the thing with regenerative. We obviously have to start regenerating, and then maybe 50 years from now we can start sustaining. That's cool, but regenerative has a positive feedback loop, and it's compounding. So when you have more glue happening from plants leaking sugars into the ground, feeding the microbes are able to glue together these particles of soil and make aggregates. Those aggregates hold 20 times their weight in water. They're super sponges. They are also the cytosine exchange for where plants can find minerals and necessary minerals. All the biology in there make at least 50% of all what plants need available only comes when biology does something, like this thing ate this thing and made a certain mineral, a bionutrient, are available for the plant. So what happens is land can hold more water, plants can absorb more water, plants can have access to more nutrients. That's a positive feedback loop. So the regenerative positive feedback loop of life begetting life is such an incredible phenomenon that when you look at the mutualistic part of what life's talking about, if you're just talking about, oh, life is mutual or it's sustainable, be like, no. It is it's designed regenerative positive feedback loop. And when humans step in and help steward, we're turning on a switch. We don't have to do it forever, but if you create the conditions for life to get on the regenerative positive feedback loop, instead of what it is in a lot of places, it's on a free fall because it's gone past its tipping point and it is self-degrading right now. So most of the deserts in the world are just in free fall. That's why we need things like animal impact and manure and all these things, like creating conditions so that life's regenerative positive feedback loops can begin. Water, more storage, that means more photosynthesis, more evapotranspiration, more seeding of clouds, more rain being able to come back. All of these systems are positive feedback loops. Otherwise, the world wouldn't look like it does. It's like it's stacking functions and allowing life to beget life. It's just incredible. So I always try to paint that picture of like, this isn't a sustainable conversation. This isn't a save conversation. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being conduits for the same thing that the rhizosphere and life is doing underground.
Exactly.
It's like, let's get out of our own way because our system's designed extractively the same way.
Well, I mean, I was talking with Oliver right before this, and it's like, for me, the whole point is that we just forgot that we were one with nature. Like the confusion in that is, I get it. It's confusing, and we can self-harm, and we can have hurt the earth, and we can to think we're actually separate. But the wake-up call from everything I'm hearing is that the people that are coming together, that are remembering their connection to nature, their desire to want to compost and to make those extra steps to turn the switch on as a joy.
And I always just pay homage to a lot of the indigenous friends, people who are native to this land. I have had several of the, funny elbow hit of like, welcome to the club, Whitey.
Exactly.
But it's just really important to remember a lot of indigenous cultures have embedded it in their culture and been a part of it because they have gone through mistakes and they have learned from, well, we have to be culturally stewards. Otherwise, we might lose sight. And a lot of the dominating cultures that went to other places and extractive didn't have to learn, because if you don't base place-based wisdom off of failures and writing those failures to become a steward of regeneration or a culture that's actually, you're gonna fall out. You're not gonna survive. So
Wow.
I always think it's important to remember that, like, we can catch on to it's obviously important for everybody, but there are many cultures that, like, this is deeply rooted. This is how they view themselves, how they view their
course.
role. So I sometimes just have to remember, like, yes, we're all indigenous somewhere, and a lot of us in our indigenous history do have much more connection, but many of us who've been introduced into a country like this have come from the extractive use framework, and it's important to know that there's lots to learn on that stuff.
That's it. And I think we're all waking up around here. Pretty
Awakening.
excited about
Awakening.
it. Yeah, it's an exciting time. Like,
really
I
is.
mean, as
We're on a
heartbreaking as
precipice.
the world,
Yeah,
exactly. We're here. We're literally right here. So I'm grateful to be in this chair. I'm grateful to see you again, my
yeah,
friend.
you too.
And
Thank you for what you're doing. Really appreciate it.
it's a joy. I basically get to keep learning. That's what the other piece of this. I love this, and I would nowhere near say I'm some expert, but I'm curious. And I think if we can all open our hearts and minds to be curious about what the next steps could be, maybe we got a little chance for peace on earth.
We
So
do. We got a little chance.
I'm here. I'm here for that, and I'm grateful.
That's what my life is all about now.
Me
Dedicated to
too.
it. So
Me
thank you.
too. What an
Appreciate you.
honor. Thank you. So grateful for you. The beauty of nature is that nothing grows alone. One seed becomes a flower, one flower draws a bee, and with every new connection, the story continues to grow. The conversations in Austin all pointed toward the same idea, that regeneration is not a new way of farming. It's a new way of thinking about our relationship with the land, and that is based on the power of our ancestors' wisdom and knowing. To better understand that journey, we sat down with producer Ryland Engelhart. Hi, again from Belle. We're so grateful to be here in Austin, Texas, live, South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm here with my friend Ryland, and I'm so honored and grateful to see you again and to be with this incredibly epic human that I've known since the Kiss the Ground days. Well, Common Ground is when I came on board, but you've been creating magic for this regenerative movement for a very long time, and I'm so excited to hear your next venture and just to see you again.
Awesome. Thank you for throwing your whole heart and whole life into illuminating and inspiring and awakening people to regeneration. That's literally the reason I co-founded Kiss the Ground in my garage in Venice Beach in 2013, was that there was an awakening that I had and that I saw was possible for the world to have, which was a way that humans could interact and connect with the earth in a way where life could get better in the future. And I think for most of us, we unconsciously have no idea how that could happen. And we mostly think somehow technology is going to magically save us. But yet we're biological beings thinking that the machine is going to save us. And so the idea of regeneration, the idea that we can manage land and produce food and enhance ecosystems through our actions, creates a new paradigm for what it is to be living a purposeful life, and what actually that there is a hopeful future to live into. And so thanks for you and the Belle and everything you're doing is literally the reason that we created Kiss the Ground, was to awaken all these mustard seeds in the many and allow them to play their role in how they could continue to inspire people that this is possible, that healing is possible, that life can be abundant under our care.
And that it is abundant, and we just forgot, how we could be so deeply connected to nature. I remember the first time I watched a trailer from Common Ground, because John Rulak found me in a field, and I was there to see Nat Kelly and Zach Bush speak. After 10 days of meeting Nat Kelly and having just watched Fantastic Fungi and being like, what is happening? Like there is a web beneath our feet, there is, I knew it, like almost like like it was, and I was crying also for how long I was asleep. And like that was really, really intense. And I was grieving, like I had like a chest pain and like all this stuff. And I've shared this to a few people in a few different ways, but my big moment was pledging my life to a tree. The same night I was supposed to be this belle of the ball at this party in Montecito, and I was like, there's just so much more. I know I can do this part. I've done this part my whole life, but the mask is off. The tree is like on. I don't know. I got a lot of messages and had been getting them for a long time, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. This isn't crazy. This is conscious, but it seemed a little crazy to several people, to the point where I was in a mental institute around it, about all my earth visions before I saw any of the films. So like it's been calling me for a long time, and it's just an honor to come home with all of like the beings that I'm hanging out with again, that I'm like, oh, I've seen you a few times at these screenings, but let's have a real chat about, well, what's really alive for you right now? Because what's so alive for me is connecting all of these beautiful pieces of the puzzle of this beautiful regenerative web.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I moved to Texas.
You just told me, yeah.
Two years ago, from after living in California for 25 years.
You were in Venice.
I was in Venice.
Yeah.
So family, I moved there with my brother to open Cafe Gratitude.
Oh, that's right.
And Gracias Madre.
See.
And
I love those places.
Yeah, that essentially, I've had quite a Forrest Gump life, where I've always been a visionary evangelist of ideas, and I was enamored with the idea of plant-based food and gratitude, and I went to LA to not sell vegan bowls of kale and quinoa, but to awaken this remembrance of gratitude, and that when we're grateful, we are not looking for what we can do to serve ourselves. We're looking for what we can acknowledge and what we can give. And that, as a medicine, as a practice, as a way of being, felt like, wow, how simple and how inspiring and how profound. And if we can go to the belly of the beast, Los Angeles, and remind people that there's so much to be grateful for, we can, have this ripple effect that will be so transformative. And that was, what we did. In 2010, I moved to LA with my wife and many friends, and we opened the first Cafe Gratitudes, living in community in downtown LA. And that was sort of that vegan gratitude mission. And then, fast forward 7 years, I went to New Zealand, and I was speaking about, sort of with a little bit of eco-arrogance, about how perfect our Cafe Gratitude was, our composting system, our paper straws, our 100% organic ingredients, and biodynamic wine, and still there was something a little bit trite and uninvestigated in my sort of conviction of I had all the answers. And in that trip, I met a guy by the name of Graham Sate, and basically he communicated this story of how, the context of the conversation he was speaking at a conference was, can human beings sustain life on planet Earth? And basically 5 out of the 6 said no, we're heading into an Anthropocene. And he then spoke and said, yes, what they're saying is true, but we as human beings think separate from nature because we've forgotten that we're a part of nature. And if we could remember that, and we could see the way that we interact with nature, which is, in the largest way, agriculture, in a way that actually heals versus destroys, we could not only balance, the carbon scales, we could rehydrate the water aquifers, we could create nutrient density. And as a food entrepreneur, vegan restaurateur, I was like, oh my God, that's the most compelling story I've ever heard in my life. You're telling me that we can grow food, reverse climate change, and we can heal the planet by I was like, and I mean, it seemed crazy because I'd been promoting and selling organic food for a decade before that, but I still had no understanding of that simple principle of carbon sequestration, that plants and trees are grown from the carbon in the air, and they share that carbon into the soil, into the rhizosphere, and feed the microbiome of the soil. And in that exchange, there is a balancing of the excess of carbon that we've put up into the atmosphere. And I was like, wow, that was oh my God, good news. That was like the revelation of good news, that there's a way forward, that life can get better, and we have a keystone species role to play as human beings. And so I just became enamored with this idea, and I was running my vegan restaurants, and essentially I was giving tableside gospel of soil and regenerative agriculture. And I was living in Venice, and I started basically gathering people, including Finnian, in my living room, and we basically started having community meetings of how do we get this story out to. And again, when I was in New Zealand and I saw Graham State, I had a spiritual, the way they describe these spiritual epiphanies, where you have a 1,000 suns erupting in your third eye, and I could feel and taste and touch and like wow. The experience, the revelation of that being true, I was experiencing the collective understanding of that idea becoming realized. And I met, Al Gore 4 weeks later and was telling him about it. And at that point, he had no belief in the soil and regenerative agriculture as a solution. Yeah, it was just not even in. So it was
radar,
like,
at that time.
So it was like, wow, I can't believe that this story is not the most, this, and that became the mission of Kiss the Ground, was to awaken that realization. And again, it started with Finnian and myself, and in my garage and in my living room in Venice Beach, California. And the miracle is that the house that I moved into in Venice, Josh and Rebecca Tikal had moved out of that house to Ojai, California.
Come on.
And when they were moving out, and I was like, wait, you guys I've been looking for you. I was looking for filmmakers, and they were like, no, we make films about alternative energy, fuel, soil. Sounds really boring. And I was like,
Let me tell
you. And so ultimately that was 7 years in the making. And, John Rulak was part of that, a triage. And
he was one of the boys.
He was one of the people that was basically, after my interaction with Josh and Rebecca, it was kind of triaging them, and gave some money from Nutiva to make a trailer. And then that led me to calling Woody Harrelson, who I've known for 20 years, and said, Woody, and
I just went skiing with him.
And he thought, when he first said yes to it, he thought it was a vegan propaganda.
Yeah.
And
that's hilarious.
So he got kind of baited, switched, and he was like, what? But he surrendered and got that it was a bigger calling, and there was validity to the message. And so, so anyways, that was a decade plus ago. And, I've since, I continue to work with Josh and Rebecca. I'm producer on the third film, Groundswell, that's coming out.
Congratulations.
It's likely going to be out at Cannes Film Festival in May. It's going to premiere on Amazon Prime as like the third film trilogy. Kiss the Ground's now on Prime.
Are you still looking for funds for that, or are you complete?
We are. We still need. We're looking for three more executive producers to come on. Yeah, and Regina Scully just came on, and I'm working on Kathy Kellogg. Not that they need to be in this podcast, but
yeah, let's
hi,
bring
thanks,
them
guys.
In. Thank you for
and
maybe
but,
me.
Who
knows, or some part of it. Yeah, we'll pop
so anyway,
in there.
so
Love to,
yeah.
I love to support this
Yeah.
in some form for sure.
Yeah. So anyways, so that's up and coming is that film, which is really, that's, the first two films were kind of the big idea. Then sort of the second film was, looking at the American food system and all the ways that the corruption has led to and how we got here. And this third film is kind of a international perspective of, how this awakening is happening all over the planet. Some ancient and some, new, where people are taking this practice on and seeing success in healing the land. And
Since seeing Common Ground, and becoming an associate producer of that, I became an executive producer of Feeding Tomorrow. And then from there, it just rippled, and I kept going and going and going and getting deeper and into like Laura's film about the ocean. That I got into that. That's how I met Woody. Like the web just kept weaving, right? And it's so exciting and inspiring when you're in that flow, because you're doing nothing. You're just showing up and saying yes. It's so simple.
Yeah, and I want to say something that it's not a segue, but it's feels like a profound thing to kind of put on the table. And that, it was just 2 nights ago, I was having a conversation with a bunch of people who are in this space, and someone opened the conversation with, for the vast majority of time as that human beings have lived on planet Earth, they have been actively spent the majority of their time cultivating and gathering food, or cooking and processing food. And they did that in community, and that is what connected the cycles of weather. That's what connected the relationship to the earth. That's what connected the mythology of the relationship to God and divinity. And if we think about our culture right now, we have almost, we mostly don't cook our own food, and we mostly have no relationship to where our food comes from. And, the reality is we're not happy. Like it literally is the gathering and production of food and the making of food and sharing of food with community is the fundamental fabric of a life that we love as human beings, as biological beings. And we've tried to outsource our, the sensation of, what's on the screen to sort of fill the void in so many ways. And ultimately, it's never going to fill the hole. And so, this regenerative movement has a really, again, it's not about going back in time, but it's about prioritizing what really matters as biological beings, where we're creating families, we live in community, we nourish ourselves, and we create the shape, we shape what the surface of the earth looks like. And how are we going to do that? And like, when are we going to wake up that we can't eat money, we can't eat scale like that? That's another thing that this idea of we need to scale everything is an interesting whole other topic. But anyways,
do you think that's based on the fear of scarcity, the need to scale? That's a whole nother.
It's a whole other
podcast
yeah.
session.
It's a whole other podcast. But
Okay,
I don't use this word lightly, because I actually kind of am a little bit annoyed when people colonize this, colonizer, that whole. But there is an aspect of the world in my image, and making it about I see the right way to do things, and I'm going to scale that to save and make other people's lives better in my image. And so, yeah, I think
like an ecosystem instead of an ecosystem.
Total
kind of vibes.
ecosystem. Yeah.
I've been thinking about that a lot. Yeah.
I moved me and my sister moved as two families moved to Texas to develop something called Sovereignty Ranch.
I love.
Which is a 200-acre regenerative farm and ranch where we're producing cattle, producing raw milk. We're producing vegetable 2 hours from here.
I want to go.
We have a restaurant on site called the Barn Restaurant, where we're serving all proteins grown on the farm. Everything's organic that's not produced ourselves. And me and my sister run the restaurant. I I'm busing and serving and meeting people at the door and loving them, and it's our ministry. It's our way to serve at the most fundamental levels of love and service and nourishment and sharing love and information of this story and this work and this understanding. We do farm tours, and we move cows, and we move sheep, and we move goats, and we've got greenhouses, and we host events. And
Yes,
it's
please.
it's
Love
it
all
really
of that.
is us doing the thing and doing it as a family and doing it with our kids and working from home so that we don't have to be separate from our families. So integrating it all, and it's a shit ton of
Great
work.
work,
It's
yeah.
it's insane what we're taking on, and we're young and full of piss and vinegar, and we're excited,
You're
and
having fun.
we're having fun. I mean,
Loving it.
literally last night I was literally building garden beds in my little zone, and I put a bunch of Bermuda grass on the fire that was dried out, and I lit it up, and my kids spent my two sons and my nieces and nephews just sat playing with adding dry sticks to the fire for an hour and a half while I was building and spreading compost over my fruit trees. And it was just like looking up, standing still, and just being like, wow, this thank you, God. Thank you for this. Thank you for this experience. Thank you for this place. Thank you for the ability to feel the wind and hear the crickets and the birds and feeling. And it's just like, wow. And again, confirming this intellectual conversation of, wow, yeah, can we be happy if we're not connected with nature? Well, how do we connect with nature? Yeah, we go on some walks. Yes, we go swim in the creek. Yes, amazing. But what is a way that we're, in this process of cultivation in relationship to life, nature, land, soil, and then taking and enjoying and receiving that in an intimate way and sharing with others, understanding that our love and care and life has been enveloped and developed, and then gets to go into our bodies and create, the energy for our existence.
I love it. I mean, I love a channel. I love sitting with someone that can just feel the earth and let the messages come out. It's such a gift. Thank you. I'm really in the trance of the earth right now from I can feel it. And it's a dream for me too. It's a real, I had a farm from when I was 12, and that was a period in my life that I was so happy with my animals and mucking out stalls, and no one knows that about me. Right? No one would necessarily know that. But that is what I feel about this movement, is that it's brought me home to that time of my peace and my joy on the farm. I just loved it so much, and we're ready for it again. I feel that this, and sovereignty is such a beautiful word for it, because I feel like I've been in service a lot of my life, but when I'm sovereign, then I'm really in service. So I've been writing a lot about sovereign service, and so just to hear you say your ranch, sovereignty ranch,
Yeah.
but it's so and incredibly powerful, Ryland, to have your Engelhart heart, your absolute incredible soul and heart here, because I can feel the power of the raw milk, and I can feel what you're creating at your ranch and how it's rippling through you and how that then ripples through the world. So thank you for I know it's a lot of work, and I'm so grateful. And also just an open space if you ever want to share more messages of what you're up to, what you need, what's coming up for you, what's alive for you in this next step in your life. You just
so
know where to
the
come.
The sort of three things that are happening. We're putting on an event called Confluence, April 23rd through the 27th. It's going
Where's
to be
that?
on the ranch.
Oh, really?
So it's basically like a mini health and wellness,
boy.
food sovereignty, homesteading conference that we have 1,000 people going to come on our ranch with
How many acres is this ranch?
200 acres.
Whoa.
And then, so that's health and wellness event. That's April 23rd through the 27th. And then we have American Regeneration, which is my new organization with Kelly Ryerson, glyphosate girl.
Love her. Love that girl.
That is a farming and food conference that is happening May 1st and May 2nd. And we're doing that in collaboration with the Acres magazine, which is the first eco-ag magazine, 50-year-old organization. And so we're collaborating with them to put on a ag-focused, homesteading focus. It's called American Regeneration, the New American Dream. And so this is the New American Dream is the awakening that we aren't happy, disconnected in our white picket fence and our TV dinner and our 3.5,
it didn't work. We tried and it didn't work.
Yeah, let's recalibrate that back of what is.
It's rebel.
And I mean, you have so many people talking about they want to be more connected. They want to be more connected to nature. They want to be more connected to their food supply, community. They want to be doing things together.
COVID really showed us that, how important how that missing piece from that, how essential that was for mental health too.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we are meant to be a collaborative species, right?
Yes.
Collaborate and co-create.
Gathering, cultivating, and processing together in community and family. That's that healthy alchemy is what is biologically works for human beings.
So how can we help you launch this new American dream?
The New American Dream. Well, let's have you come to either Confluence or American Regeneration. But American Regeneration.
When's the American that one?
May 1st and May 2nd.
Okay, I can come to that one.
Rick Clark's speaking.
We'll come to that one.
It's going to be amazing.
Okay.
And then American Regeneration is an organization that me and Kelly founded with Rick Clark, and essentially we are building the best advisory board to plug them into the new administration, to have them understand and use this Maha moment, and how do we have regenerative agriculture not get missed, because
exactly.
So this is a huge moment. And
wow, I love that.
So we're filling the education gap of all the complexities, all the nuances of this moment, but we're essentially the regenerative ag conduit for this current administration and how they're thinking about regenerative ag and seeing how we can influence that direction. And so we are doing farm tours and interacting with congressional offices and Bobby Kennedy and Callie Means and all those people who are sort of in the external of Maha, the sort of movement outside of it, as well as working on the inside to try to see what they need to have them be convincing enough to have this be important and implemented and supported and moving it in the right direction.
Brilliant. To go straight to the source. It's really smart.
Yeah.
And effective. Thank you for your wisdom, and for Kelly. I mean, she's amazing beyond.
Yeah.
I met her at the Common Ground premiere. I met Zen Honeycutt, the Moms Across America.
Which there's a huge event, same timing as American Regeneration. April 27th is the largest People Over Poison rally happening in DC. Vani Hari, Food Babe, Zen Honeycutt, Kelly Ryerson, Alex Clark are rallying. People Over Poison. That the Supreme Court is having the Bayer case, and they're basically going to try to win the pesticide liability shield, that we can, protect pesticide companies such that if people get harmed from those, that the government is responsible versus the company.
Oh.
So that's what's trying to be implemented. And we as the people need to stand up and say that people over poison, people over political sides, this is a no. We're a no. We're a hard no.
Amen.
Yeah.
Trust me, brother. I'm with you. We could do a whole nother episode on the microbiome and gut health, and we probably will, because you have great wisdom in that.
Yeah, I know some things.
You know some things about a lot of things, but this is these initiatives right now are very exciting and very important for this movement, and I just feel like, something magical clearly happened in your garage with Finn, with Finland. And the two of you, did you meet like in Venice before that, or did you
We're
meet
childhood
through?
friends.
Okay, that's even more cool.
Our parents played softball together. We grew up together. His older brother was my best friend throughout high school. And he worked at Cafe Gratitude as
Oh my
a
gosh.
manager. And then he was kind of the theme music for our community. The Makepeace brothers were the theme music for our 20s. And then, I always knew him as a sort of socially and politically active human being. And when I learned about regenerative ag in New Zealand, I put together an event in Venice at an airplane hangar and brought, the most influential 50 people I could put in a room, and had this guy, Graham Sate from New Zealand, fly to LA. And then I just basically put him in front of audiences. And so essentially my skill set is understanding who is the most effective communicator for the right audience, finding the right audience, and then making that happen. And ultimately, that's what the film was. That strategy was ultimately bringing those stories together. And so that's what I'm doing now in the political sphere, or attempting to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you with all our hearts.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All
Thank
of them.
you.
Thank you. You're the best. It's so great to see you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Every movement begins with a conversation, one idea, one person willing to ask a different question. These conversations are only one part of a much larger story, a story that continues in groundswell. From the incredible collaborators and creators of Kiss the Ground and Common Ground, whom I like to call my soil family. Please watch, now streaming on Amazon Prime Video.